everyone. My name is Charlotte, and tonight I am joined by the lovely Heavenleigh. I'm looking forward to chatting to her. I recently met her at Santorini, and we had some very interesting conversations. And I cannot wait to give her this space to tell you all about what she does and who she is. So, Heavenleigh, good evening. How are you today?
I'm all right, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. So let's start off. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, whatever you want, like who you are and what you do, if that's all right?
Sure. I'm 17 years old. I'm a marketing apprentice, and I also run and building a learning platform for young people called The Firm. The Firm is an online community and learning platform essentially designed to give young people the tools and resources to grow in various aspects of their lives. And our whole central thing is about the fact that everyone should be able to make money for their passion. So that's all of our content and things that we do is centered around.
Amazing. See, this is why we got on so well, because I love it. I love the fact that A, you're 17, and B, that you are designing a platform for young people, because you know that I'm also passionate about that. And I believe there's certain things that young people don't get taught at in schools that it's kind of like a good idea to set up a platform and teach young people and also other people the benefits of what topics that they don't learn at school. So you're 17, you started your new business. Do you use social media a lot for your businesses?
I do. Mainly Instagram. I feel like that's where you can find a lot of Gen Z and millennials, especially, which is pretty much my whole audience. So Instagram is definitely the place to be. I use Snapchat a lot as well, showing like more behind the scenes of what my life is like, because I do get a lot of questions about, how do you study and work and do business at the same time? I mean, I also am a writer for a magazine, so there's a lot happening in my day to day, which I do get questions about. So Snapchat is what I use to kind of show more behind the scenes stuff of that, and Instagram's always very helpful and instrumental for any kind of marketing when you're trying to contact that kind of age group.
Do you feel like you've grown up with a social media presence? Like, what made you turn to social media to grow your business? Like, as I said, like when I was growing up, we weren't the generation where it just came. Do you know what I mean? Like, we grew up with it and it came, and then it's been built even bigger. And yours is the generation where you've kind of like grown up with social media. So can you tell us a little bit more about that? How you feel about growing up in a world that is technology focused and based around Instagram and pictures and people putting themselves on there?
I would say we've definitely grown up with social media. Social media has such a big presence in your growing up process. But I would also say that I have a bit of a peculiar relationship with it, in the sense that I'm not like an OG Instagram user. Like, a lot of the people I know had their first Instagram account when they were like 8, 9, and I didn't actually have Instagram until I was 14. Yeah, I was 14 when I first got Instagram, because it was around the same time I started to, be more out there. I was interested in politics. I was, running for young mayor. I was doing a lot of different stuff. And so having an online presence became a bit more important. So I never really used social media casually. Like, I was never really like, I wasn't part of the dog filters posted on your public account generation inside of my generation. I've always only ever used it, not professionally, but with the intention of trying to get my name out there in a professional manner. So it's never really been something that I use super casually, Instagram specifically. I only have Facebook because I have Instagram, and you have to have a Facebook if you want a business account. And besides that, I don't really use other social medias. I had Twitter for a short while, but I never really got the knack of it. I'd say that social media definitely has a big, big presence in your life when you're growing up, because that's always also, it has been helpful. It's been an unusual experience for like the reasons I said, but also in some ways it can be tricky, in the sense that people don't really ask for your number, like, to contact you. They ask for your Snapchat, and I was one of the kids at school that didn't have Snapchat. So I was like using WhatsApp with all the aunties, sending chain mail, and That was very interesting. I feel like it has its benefits because I can see how having social media and like having a presence on social media would have affected me if I had been on there since I was like 8, 9 years old. Because I can recognize the effect that it has had on me, even though I only joined it when I was 14.
Mm-hmm.
I realize now how young 14 actually is. Whereas when I was 14, I was like, why has everyone got this thing and I don't have that thing, you know? But I get it now. And you know, social media is this whole like other world. It's this fictional reality that we use to represent real life. And that comes with a whole host of issues and good things as well, because it means you can connect to people that you wouldn't have otherwise. And it's definitely helped me in that way, because it means that, you know, when I am producing a new thing, I've had a million and one ideas in the last 5 years. So when I'm producing a new thing, it means that those same 300 people that 200 of which I haven't seen recently, I could get to speak to them, even though I wouldn't have been able to. I would have lost their phone number ages ago or lost contact with them. Social media is how you can still speak to every person you've ever met at the same time. So yeah.
Exactly. What would we have done if we didn't have social media during lockdown? Like lockdown and social media, I think the numbers have gone up massively and we were lucky to have social media so that we could keep connected with other people around the world, whilst not being able to go out. So I love the fact that you said it, and I want people to know that I love what you said, because I'm not against social media. Like, there is so much benefits, but I just think in order to get safe social and for people to understand like why people behave they do, we need to understand like the impacts that social media can have, and also the benefits and how to use it properly. So and you've touched on that, which is amazing. But I want to touch on something that you just said. Like, one of the things that the way you came across to me was that you're a woman that's older beyond her years. Like, you maybe only 17, but you talk like a lady. And that's what a lot of the other entrepreneurs that were at the retreat said. It's like, wow, she talks like she's had so much life experience.
Thank you.
And you use that for your business, don't you? So can you tell us a little bit about like you in that sense, like how you have been able to have so much wisdom and how you use that in the business to teach your clients and other people that follow you?
Well, I would say I've always been a very reflective person, for better or worse. I spend a lot of time in my own head, which I would say probably contributes to the level of wisdom that I do have. When I was younger, I wanted to be a writer. Technically, I am a writer, but I wanted to be an author. And so I spent a lot of my time just watching people do whatever it is that people do, because it makes for great content for your characters. And when I read, I read a lot when I was younger. When you read, you can pick up so much because you don't have to live through things, because writers put their own wisdom and their own lessons and their own scenarios down on these pages, and you can pick them up. So it means that you don't have to walk down those same paths. You just get to read their experiences. And I think that also was probably a big reason for why I am the way I am. Like, I genuinely do believe that, even though, you know, I can only ever speak from my own perspective. I've only ever been through what I've been through, but being a reader and being a writer has definitely taught me so much about so many different things, and there's so many opinions for me to sift through, because you just get to pick up other people's. And in business, I'd say that's very helpful, because especially with what I do, I enjoy working with young people. I mean, they're my friends, and that's actually kind of how my business started. I have had this business for like a year now, but I've been doing this job for at least 5 years, because I have always played the same role in all of my friends' relationship in all of my relationships, and it's the same role. I've just monetized it. Like, I've always been the one that people go to when, you know, they have an idea or they don't know what to do about one career or the next, or one opportunity in the next. I'm the one that will go, okay, so what are we going to do about it? And get out my notepad and say, okay, what are your skills? And we, you know, write CVs together. I've written so many people's CVs. Like, I've always been that person. I adore listening to people speak about stuff that they're passionate about. And I love watching people do what they're interested in. Like, I've had so many artist friends, I've got gym friends, business friends, like medicine friends. Like, I love knowing about what people want to do. And I've always been like that. So, you know, in running the firm, it's kind of just, there was a theme that I noticed while I was in secondary school, and it's that a lot of people, they were so passionate, but then once they'd finished doing what they're doing, and we start talking about, oh, so like, for example, I had a friend, he loved football. He really loved football, and like, he read football, watched football, played football, like all day, every day, football, right? And then he started getting into fitness, and I'm like, okay, I can see a theme here, okay. But then when you asked him what he wanted to do, he said, oh, I want to be an accountant. No, you don't. Like, no, you don't. Why are you lying? And I noticed that this was the case for so many people. And it was just the same thing that came up. Oh, well, being a footballer is unrealistic. But there just wasn't this understanding that you can be a football coach. You can be there are so many other things that you could be doing. You could be a fitness instructor. You could be I'm not sure what the name of it, but the trainee people. There are so many different fields that you could enter if you know, you pursue this thing that you're interested in. But there was just this theme that so many people would have this passion and separate it from what they were actually pursuing. And because I was the person that people often spoke about their passions to, when it came to me thinking about, like, how can I solve this problem, how can I stop this from happening, I'm blessed in the sense that I have parents that kind of just let me do what I want to do, because they, you know, they've taught me in such a way that we can make money off of basically anything. Like, we think of businesses in our free time, like, just casually. We would be having conversation, I'll be like, that's a gap in the market, and that's just normal. That's normal for my household. So my parents know that whatever it is that I want to pursue, I'll be all right. But not everyone has that. And so, you know, combining
that's such a good thing to have.
That, and, you know, my experience with people in school, I kind of just thought, well, how can I fix that? And then that's how I ended up using that in business.
Amazing. I just want to go back to one thing you said, just to make sure, like, that I'm on the right path. The people that you were talking about that would have that business idea, you know, like the footballer, but he said that he wanted to be an accountant. Do you think that's because it was an unrealistic, he didn't believe that he could do it, or was it just more, sorry, I wasn't understanding. What did you mean? Was it that he didn't have the belief, or was it just that what makes people think that they want to, they live, eat and breathe that passion, but yet they feel like they have to do something else? You said there was a theme. So what do you think was behind that?
I feel like it's just realism. Like, there's this idea of what is attainable that people have that is very limiting. And to be honest, it kind of relates back to social media, because when you're on social media, you can see everyone's high points. People rarely ever post their low points, right? So you see these footballers, and, you know, you can see their success, you see how successful they are, and it's really easy for you, I think, because reality is in this fictional world, you can kind of have this understanding that it is fictional. So then their success seems fictional too, when in reality, they were just a kid, the same as you, but they got to this point. But because, you know, it's really easy for you to distance yourself from people. I mean, they're behind a screen, right? So they seem so far away from where you are that it doesn't seem like you would ever be able to get there. So you would rather settle for what's realistic. You can see the clear career path to being an accountant. You can't really see that for being a footballer. Being a footballer, you have to be one in what, 100, 1,000, however many. But being an accountant, there's loads of accountants. We're never going to run out of accountants. There's always going to be an accountant. So it's this idea of realism and just drawing a line between what is and isn't attainable. And it is a shame because it means that a lot of people, they have what they live, breathe, eat, but they never actually take that step to actually follow it. They go for what there's lots of.
This is true. So two things I want to touch on. The first thing is, before that goes back to like I always talk about role models and people that we follow, and like you said about Instagram and people, how we see people that are footballers and we see what's out there, and it seems to be like the money, that success. First of all, I want to ask you what success means to you. Like, what is your idea of success?
Success, I would say success is, I like to say measure success in joy. That's like a thing that I always say, because when you're really successful, you're happy. And if you're not happy, you're not successful. That's just something I genuinely believe. So regardless of like where you are or what you have or don't have or what you're doing or not doing, if in that present moment you are happy, you're successful.
I love that. I just wanted to ask you, because you touched on a really good point. You said like things that we see on social media is learned behavior kind of thing. We see that as that is what people do. That's what we're supposed to do. But what we're trying to teach people is that sometimes what we see on social media is not always how life has to be. And what you said about we post our positives. I think society is getting better about posting like the bad side of things, the negative, like when they're lows, and they are getting better about talking about the real side of life and trying to make it more obtainable. But also I want to go, that's why I asked you, but also I want to go back to something else you said about role models. I teach something that I believe that to be on social media and to be giving a message out to people, you are a role model, you are an influencer, you are influencing the younger generations, and we are giving people like a platform for a voice to speak out, and that is going to influence other people. So how do you feel about growing up? Did you have many role models? Did you think there should be more role models out there? What's your feelings and beliefs about that?
I would say that I kind of have mixed feelings about it because on one hand, my mum is obviously, well, not obviously, but a very big role model for me. She is an entrepreneur, like a serial entrepreneur. She's a teacher. She has 4 kids. Like I couldn't do half of what she does, to be honest.
She's an amazing woman. I can vouch for that as well.
So when I see her, I pretty much always see a role model. Like I lived with one, which was pretty great. But when I look externally, I would say, well, actually, no, leading from that point. One thing I always say is good friends tend to have good friends. So because of the type of person that my mum is, she always kind of surrounded herself with people that I could look up to just as much. And my mum's very, very particular about the people that she brings around her children. So like all of the people I ever came into contact with via my mother were people that I could learn from in some way. And, that's how we connected. Like every person that I meet through her is someone that I can learn from, and they bring different things to me, different bits of wisdom and lessons and stuff. So I kind of did have a lot of role models in that sense. I would say role models like famous ones kind of thing.
They don't just have to be famous. I mean, like someone that you looked up to that was there. So it could be anyone. Do you feel like there could be more? Or do you feel like you had a good, apart from like your family, but other people out there?
Yeah. So that's what I mean. Like, so with my family, very much so, there's a lot of role models in that sense. But externally, I feel like there could have been more when I was younger, but there's so much more now. Like when I think about when I was little, everyone kind of just seemed like really historic kind of thing. Like everyone that I had to look up to were from books and like Marcus Garvey, Martin Luther King. Like, you had these people that you grew up with, because my parents taught me about all of these people. So you have these people that you grew up to, but they all seem so historic. There wasn't really people present that I could relate to, that I could see as, being someone that I could look up to. But now I feel like it's a lot better. Like, you've got your Marcus Rashfords and even your Stormzy's. Like, there's so many more people that you could be looking up to that are doing really great things. I do wish there were more young people though. I would love to see other people that are like just a little bit above and a little bit below me, because I don't really know many, especially from here specifically, because the ones that I could tell you about, they're from America. Well, they're all from the States, but I want to see more young people from the UK doing great stuff. Definitely.
Well, you and me both, that's why we connected as well, because as you know, I'm on a mission and I've got a vision to give young people a voice, to give them a platform. Because I was talking to this through one of my entrepreneur friends, and I told her about my passion about like working with young people and my experience and that. And she was like, Charlotte, you should be the voice for the young people, like give them a platform. And I was like, do you know what? She's so right, because I am passionate about that and I love listening to people's stories. And that's one of the reasons why I invited you on tonight, because when you said about talking to people, everyone has a different story, don't they? Everyone has a unique set of talents. And I don't think young people, there is a lot of work that's been done, but I think there's more to be done than not the stereotypical young people are like just thugs and they're beating up older people, and like the negative stigma that you get with young people. Like, let's give them a platform to talk about what they're doing and how they show up, and they've got these amazing ideas, like it's not. And also like the social media side of it, it's not, yeah, there are negative impacts for young people, but there's also lots of benefits, and like we can use social media for like collaborative learning, teaching them to build businesses. There's giving them online platforms like both of us are doing, like to give them the life skills that they need. So I think as you say, there's always a gap in the market, and I think this is something that's truly needed. And as you said, I would love, you've given me like a list of names of your friends, so hopefully this video series will be that platform that gives young people, and we can see people coming forward to talk about more about what they are doing and the good things that they're doing in the world. So we've talked about role models, we've talked about young people, we've talked about social media. One thing that you did say actually that I wanted to talk on, you said before about being inside your head, and this is one of the most common problems that I see in entrepreneurs, and also something that I've struggled with like before. How do you manage to deal with being inside your own head? Like you said about your writing helps you, but I mean, you've created a successful business, you've created like what you've done. How do you stop? Like, what would your advice be to people that are in their own heads? Like, how have you overcome that yourself, and how can we help them to overcome that?
I would say, one, find an outlet. That's the best possible thing you could do, because keeping it all on the inside can very easily just drive you crazy. Like, having the same stuff going round and round in your head. At least for me, I can get fixated on one particular thing. So just get it out in whatever way that you need to. For me, it's writing. For some people, it might be sport, like go do a workout that can help you clear your head. It could be art, it could be music. Just play with it, like play around, try new things and see what works best for you, but try and find an outlet for getting everything out of your head and onto paper or somewhere else. And also see if you can find the patterns in what causes you to start like spiraling or like staying in your mind too much. Like, are you thinking about the same things continually? Is it one specific thing that always kind of sets you off and then you get fixated on that? Is it a specific problem that keeps reappearing? Like, see if you can figure out where that's coming from, because I know for me, like when I first started, I had this big sense of imposter syndrome, because it's kind of like, who is this random 16-year-old that suddenly thinks she can start teaching people? And I was kind of throwing myself into, I really did kind of throw myself into this during 2020. I was kind of like, right, I've been sitting on this, because I had this idea when I was 14. So, and I didn't start until I was 16. So it was kind of like, you know what, I'm not waiting anymore. I've just finished secondary school. I'm gonna put my head down. Quarantine was a blessing for me because it gave me the room and the space to go, actually, while I'm stuck here, I'm gonna put my head down and get to work. But equally, quarantine meant that I spent a lot of time in the house and on my own and in my head. So like, see, get yourself out there and try new things and get it out, and see where it starts and see if that's something that you can fix or get rid of.
I love that. I also just want to touch on one thing that you said there as well, because COVID has been massive for a lot of young people. And you said that you've coped with it really well and it was a blessing in disguise. But how do you feel like some of your friends may have dealt with it? Do you think some of them are still struggling to get back to normality? Or do you think some of them have been like you and have seen it as a blessing? Like, what's your... I know you can't talk for everyone, but I mean, just what do you think?
I think a lot of mixed responses. Like, I think for some people they needed that like sit down time, because some of my friends are very extroverted, they go out a lot kind of thing, and it was an opportunity for them to actually take some much needed time for themselves and spend some time in reflection. Reflection is so interesting, because if you do too much of it, it can be chaotic, and if you don't do enough of it, your life will get chaotic. So it's good to reflect, but rein it in a bit. But yeah, I think for some of them, like, it was a good opportunity for them, and they used it to reflect and just take some time for themselves. I think getting back outside is a little bit tricky. Like, I do know that some of my friends are struggling a tiny bit with like socializing now that we're outside again, and COVID, with all of the precautions and you're in again, out again of it all, gets a bit... It's like when the weather can't make up its mind and your body can't regulate itself. It's I do know that it had a bit of that effect, and it kind of did for me as well. Like, as much as it was a blessing, I'm a very socially awkward person, and once we got out of lockdown this summer, I have done more outsiding than I ever have, because I spent 2 birthdays in lockdown. I turned 16 in lockdown. That was sad for me. Like, I was really mad about that, because it was my 16th and I was looking forward to it. I was a kid that looked forward to their 16th as soon as they found out that 16th was a thing. Like, I was looking forward to that. So tiny bit gutted. But then I turned 7, we came out, and then we came back in during my 17th birthday, and I was not impressed at all. So this summer I have done all of the outsiding you possibly could have done. But awkward. I'm very awkward. So it was like a very interesting experience for me.
That's so surprising that you said that, because at the retreat, my goodness, like the way you came across and the way you spoke, and even now, I wouldn't have said that you're a social, but as you say, we always portray, don't we? We come across as how we want people to see us. No one knows what people are going through behind closed doors. Yeah. So anyway, I'm not going to take that away from you. So sorry, carry on.
Yeah, no, like, we're genuinely like sitting ducks. When you see, is it ducks or swans? I can't remember. But like, they're so graceful on the top, and then the bottom, their feet are like doing crazy. And I'm very much like that. And I know so many people that are like that. So going back outside after lockdown is a very weird experience. And actually, another thing is, because I was working, I started working in December, so I was only really in the office for like a couple months before we went back into lockdown, and then we was in lockdown for ages, and then I came back out again. And because it was my first job, and I was 16, my first job, and it was like in an office, it was like a career job, so it was quite weird for me, because I still wasn't even used to not having to ask to go to the bathroom. Like, it was a really weird jump. It was absurd. So being in lockdown meant that I had this autonomy that meant, like, I can literally just walk away from my laptop and go do what I'm doing, come back kind of thing. But then being in the office and like commuting, it was so strange, because I'd spent all of that time in my house, and now I actually have a designated place on the other side of London that I have to go to every day. So that was a bit weird. It was difficult to get used to, and because it was my first time, And I'm very introverted. I never really went anywhere before this year. I didn't understand how the tube worked. Like, I didn't get it. So there was
The
so much
tube is a scary
learning to
place,
do.
don't worry, you are not alone on that. I never know where I'm going on the tube.
The colours, there's so many colours. No, so it was very interesting because me going back outside, it was almost comical because I actually didn't know what I was doing. It was almost as if I'd never been outside before, but it's because before that, it was like this big marker. Before quarantine, I never went anywhere in the first place. I went to school and went home, and then if I went outside, it was with my mum. So, and then after quarantine, I was out and about going to all of these different places. So it was like such a big contrast, and quarantine was right in the middle of it. So it was a bit absurd for me to get used to, definitely.
So wow, you've had to navigate yourself like quite a bit in a short space of time. Like the big wide world is scary enough anyway, but then to face like a national pandemic as well in the meantime, when you're navigating the tube and you're navigating, yeah, I feel for you. I can understand. So wrapping up a little bit, I just want to, if there was one thing that you could say to the next level you, what would it be? What do you think's coming next? Like, and what piece of advice would you give to yourself?
Do you know what? It's interesting they asking me this now because I'm at a point where I don't actually know what's coming next. I would love to know, but I don't. This is the least sure I've been in a while. But I would say.
But no, that's fine. For you to say that is absolutely fine because there are so many of us that are like that don't put our hand, and that's what I talk about, the ugly truth in business, talking to young people. It is absolutely okay to be at that stage. Like, it's an exciting stage because you don't, like, I will let you speak after that, but I just want to say that it's okay to be in that stage because that's an exciting stage. Like, sometimes I don't know what's coming next, like, and I have to, as you say, like, reflection is really good, but also being able to open yourself to opportunities or the universe and say, like, hi universe, I'm ready, I don't know what's coming next, but hey, show me, you know. To be at that stage is so exciting. So if you don't know, that's perfectly okay. And I would happily say to all those entrepreneurs out there or young people, even the older people are gonna say, clap their hands to you, because that is like most of us don't know sometimes what we're doing, you know, like what the next stage is. It takes a while for us to figure that out. Anyway, come back to you, sorry.
No, I love that because like, it's important to remember that, like, where you are is important. Every step is an important place to be, and it's really easy to forget that. I can definitely forget that. I think forwards, like, my head is constantly like, forward, what's the next thing? So stay present. That's what I would say to myself for the next stage. Stay present and enjoy where you are as you're there. And like, instead of just like looking to the next thing all the time, like, stay present. And I feel like gratitude is a big part of that. Remember to be grateful, because there was a point where you longed for where you are now, the same way you're constantly looking ahead to the next thing. When you were at the step behind, you were looking forward to this bit, so enjoy it while you're still there.
Yeah, I 100% second that. Like, I got a bit carried away, but it is because I said, like, so many of us are like, it's all about the process. The best piece of advice someone gave to me is like, stop trying to reach the end goal. Like, it's a process. The first time you get that client, the first time your business takes off, the first time you do something, enjoy those moments, like, celebrate it. And also, I am so guilty of being like, right, what's next? What am I doing next? Like, let's go. And actually, COVID has taught me to be more present, to actually appreciate my life for what it is, what I want to do, what's making me happy, where do I want to be, but not rushing. You know, like, we have to have that good work-life balance. Like, I think one of the biggest lessons for me growing up, like, when we talk about social media and the unconscious messages that is that you have to work hard. You have to work long hours to get money. You have to go to university. You have to do. It's so changed now. Like, we've become so far. Like, we've learned that it doesn't have to be like that. It's not about working harder. It's about working smarter. It's about having a good work-life balance, and it's about, as I said, like, enjoying the journey that you're on and not rushing to be at the end goal, because we can rush our lives away. Like, when we're living for the weekend or we're living for like the next best thing, sometimes we're just chasing success, and actually we need to have a look inside ourselves and realize, what is it that's truly making me happy? Is it the feeling when I get that goal, or is it actually I'm chasing something that is missing inside of me? So I hope I've taken
that is a big point, because sometimes, like, and it leads me back to that thing about success being about joy, because Sometimes you're chasing to fill up a void because you need like the next high. And when I genuinely believe that when you give yourself a fake goal, fake in the sense that it's not authentic to who you are, like, oh yeah, I want that thing that someone else has got because I saw them have it. Like, when you give yourself a fake goal, it gives you this high that lasts for about 30 seconds, and then you need the next one. And the reason why you're constantly feeling like you need to get to the next thing is because you never wanted the first thing in the first place. Like, I feel like it's so important to be genuine and honest with yourself about what it is you want and what you want to be doing. If you're living for the weekend, you need to reevaluate what you're doing during the week. Like, every moment should be not necessarily enjoyable because everything should have balance, but the process should be just as fun as the end goal, because that should be the end goal, like to build yourself a life where you are genuinely happy and enjoying it. Like, life is a process, so enjoy it. Do you know what I mean?
We only live once, we have to enjoy it, is what I say. Life is too short. One last question, well, two maybe. Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you think I should ask you?
Oh, no. Is there anything you would like to ask me that you haven't asked?
I could chat to you all night. There are lots of things that I could chat to you about.
We could just keep going and going.
Exactly. Your wisdom, I could ask questions all the time, but our viewers might get like a little bit. We need to do short snippets. So we need to give them suspense as well. Like, we need to keep them coming back for more. So anyway,
the firm, and then you'll see what happens next.
So if people want to find you, what's the best contact for them to find you?
Instagram, even though I barely post. No, I'm joking. Definitely follow the firm on Instagram. It's thefirm.ldn. We have lots of lovely content on there. If you're looking for like a daily boost of motivation, that is the place to be. We've got some really good new content coming up soon as well. We're inching towards maybe a new product, maybe a new something for you to go and enjoy. Exclusive. Yeah, so definitely get following, because I'm genuinely looking forward to what's coming next, and I think you're gonna really like it. So yeah, the content on there all the time. We've got wisdom from all different places, you know, people you may not have heard of before, people you may be really familiar with, and if you're looking to pursue anything new, or even just organize your time a little bit, we do have some planners. They're digital planners and they're completely free. So if you go to our Instagram, you can click the link on the bio and then download our free planners. That will really help you just like organize your life. The question I get asked a lot is, how do you do all of this stuff like at the same time? And honestly, I just took what happens in my head and turn it into a planner. So if you want to do that, if you want to do a million things at once, then that would be what I give to you.
Amazing. It has been lovely chatting with you. I am just so blessed that you said yes to coming on. So I wish you all the luck, and you will have to stay in touch. And I keep saying this and I keep forgetting to say it. That name is awesome. How did you come up with the name of like the firm?
Well,
or should we save that for another time?
Yeah, let's save that for another time.
I kept meaning to say it the whole way through, but I just wanted to say like that is an awesome name.
Thank you.
I absolutely love it.
There's like a whole story about the logo. Like I love it.
We will have this is coming back part 2, okay?
Yeah.
Where we will
part 2. You'll get all the tea about the name and the logo. But thank you for having me.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on. So viewers, thank you very much for listening. This has been another episode of our Link series, and we're going to be focusing a lot more on young people and their stories, giving them a voice and a platform. So I look forward to, and also we could link this with the ugly truth in business, because sometimes this is the ugly truth about business, giving people a voice and some of the golden nuggets that we've spoken. So thank you very much for listening, and I will speak to you soon.